gun violence continued throughout the city today.
Police said that there was a sound of gunshots. There was some sort of altercation.
We continue to follow a developing story. This morning, 2 people have been killed and 2 others injured in a shooting in Scarborough.
Hi, so my name is Robi. I'm from Scarborough. I'm 18 years old. I'm currently working at Taibu as a part of the summer jobs program. And in September, I'll be attending York University to study kinesiology and health science. Unfortunately, most definitely, it has been something I've been introduced to as a part of my life. I think in, unfortunate kind of way, it's not really something that's too uncommon for me at least. So it doesn't really, obviously it bothers me, but I think it's gone to a point where it's more so just like a part of everyday life. So I kind of, walk over and just, go about my day regularly without really taking the time to really consider how actually serious it is. So yeah, in my area, a lot of conflict usually escalates to the point, of actual gun violence and people losing their lives. I think I've seen it far too many times. Though I will say things have gone, better, especially this summer. I think too many people have lost their lives, over the course of, my lifetime at the very least. And I think the saddest part about it is really just seeing the younger kids, who are actually younger than me, go through the same kind of cycles. You can kind of see things forming within the younger generation that they can't even see for themselves, and it's just disheartening to see where they could possibly end up if they continue on that said path. So that's the saddest part about it for me, honestly. I haven't really received any direct peer pressure. I've always been surrounded by pretty good people, thankfully. I've always been around my cousins and people who are actually close to me, who usually have my best interests in mind. So I don't think I can't really say that I've been directly peer pressured to do anything of that nature. But I will say that just like everybody else, growing up in a certain environment can influence you to do certain things, even if you're not directly correlated with those those actions. So I will say that from the outside looking in, I have felt pressure to act a certain way or be a certain way to fit in with the greater group. But glory be to God, I've had a great cast around me, and I've been able to stay on that straight and narrow path and just do what needs to be done for myself and my future. I've been blessed to work with youth all throughout my teenage years. Really, I worked for a kids camp right next to my building called Toronto City Mission, and I was able to work with a lot of youth in the area. So as far as what concerns the younger people in my community, I think a lot of them are tapped in with me and just what I'm able to do for them as a resource. So I've been able to serve as a good role model for them. I hope so at least, but just being able to see them every single day and be able to interact with them and have them know that I'm a resource they can tap into. I also say that as an older person now, I'm getting up there in age, I suppose, but I'm able. I just want to kind of set the tone. Try to show people that they don't have to do certain things to have success. I feel like a lot of the youth are closed-minded when it comes to what they can be and what they can do in their lives. I think I've heard it's a lot of basketball, a lot of rapping and this and that, which is obviously it's good to dream big, but there's more to life than just that to have success. So trying to be more diverse and more versatile as a person myself, to show the kids that if me, a kid that's from the same neighborhood is able to do all those things, that they can absolutely do the same thing and so much more. So just stepping and just putting those footprints down so they can kind of step in those same steps. I think the biggest thing that I've seen in my own life is really just the fatherlessness. Not having a father figure in your life as a young man, young woman. One of the things that I feel like people don't really underestimate is the power of generational trauma. So when things happen with your father and his forefather before him, those things transfer down to you. And not having a dad in your life, you try to almost overcompensate for that lost masculinity in other ways. So that's aggressiveness, right? Being violent. And that's where I feel obviously there's conflicts, in between, peers, but I feel like a lot of that violence comes down from the fact that, they didn't have a father in their life, and just not having a figure to look up to and, have that model to really just follow suit with. So I think that's the really biggest thing. I don't think it's talked about enough, really. Most of all, just really providing opportunities for people to just showcase their talent and giving them opportunities to just, succeed and flourish. Because there's a lot of talent, a lot of talent here. A lot of the younger kids, I've seen through the camps, I've seen it through, just being around. They have so much talent, so many things to offer, but once again, because of their environment, they don't always feel like they're able to showcase it as best as they possibly can. So just having, opportunities and activities to really just, go out there on a big stage, or even a small stage, but just be able to cater to your creativity and cater to your passions, right? So you can just ultimately get better and, have kind of something to tap into and pour into that isn't, the streets or anything negative. So just having opportunities in general. I'd say even personally in my own life, I've really done it all, really. Like I've gone into, some bad things, and I've seen like the flip side of it, what it can do for you. Like obviously you can do everything. You can have fast money, you can have all these materialistic things, but when it comes down to it, you're really gonna be by yourself, sitting in a room, like wondering, like, what is it all for, really? I had a moment like that, like particularly last summer, where I feel like I hit like almost a rock bottom, and I didn't really know what to do or what to pour into. I was doing everything on paper was good, but really inside it wasn't working out. And as cliche as it may sound, but I just opened the Bible, I turned to God, and I found myself in prayer, and I found myself reflecting and just getting into the Lord's goodness, right? Going to church, staying active, and just tapping into the resource that is God's love, right? From that summer, I can truthfully say that summer paired with being consistent in church, having activities and workshops from people like Kareem. And Love the Game Mentality, the basketball program. I was able to cater to my how I felt inside, but in a positive way. And from there, like I was able to create a foundation for where I want to go. I was able to create it to my creativity with the clothing brand and stuff like that, and just really just see like life in a different light, and to see how much more life there is to live and how much more there is to do outside of just like my situation and where I am in life. I'd tell him to stay the course and to focus on God and be grateful, especially. I think we talked about fatherlessness. I've always had my dad in my life. I've had people around me that actually care about me. And just off of that fact alone, I've been able to carry myself much more better as like a young man and as a person. And I've been blessed to have resources around me, like Kareem, for example. I can always, shoot a text to him, ask for advice, because he's been places, he's done things, he understands, right? He's someone familiar that knows, what it's like to live here and what it's like to, go through certain things. So I tell myself to, tap into the resources and keep your head up. Really just, take things one day at a time. Life, like time flies by, really. You're 13 one day, now you're 18, about to go into university, about to, approach real life. So stay the course, trust God, and take advantage of the blessings you have.